Hey Ozzy, so here we go. I've got, I think, everything we need to do this bottom bracket shell replacement. So this is the full suspension. I had to redo the cup once, and I never really even did reinstall a crank. It's just been in the back burner, but I would like to go ahead and put a shell in this. So where's my shell? I've got it in, made this new setup here for turning things to make them accurately cylindrical, etc. So just finishing up this practice test one. Outside diameter is not all that important, but it needs to be cylindrical. Of course, the ID is set by let's see here. The ID is set by a by the mandrel over which the fabric is wrapped. So this is all perfectly sized and cylindrical. The OD is less critical, and so we just need to create the shell, the shape of the shell that this will glue into. We're using an epoxy adhesive Scotch Weld 420. First thing would be mess prevention. So you'll have a bit of plastic in your kit, your supply kit. Just as careful as I ever am, which is not super careful, unfortunately. But even when I'm trying to be super careful, I end up getting a little epoxy on my gloves, on my hands, and then grab the frame somewhere and leave a fingerprint of epoxy. So worth it to take a minute, take some plastic, just drape it over everything that you could potentially be a place where you grab it, which is really everywhere. It's like surgery. Like prepping a bowel for doing an appendectomy or something. Get it fixed in a few places. Just tape the plastic to itself. The tape sticks pretty well to the plastic. And then just leave a hole where we're going to work. Might do some tape on the frame itself, or tape a nice clean boundary around where the thing is, the shell will glue in. Almost there. No hurry. Patience is the key. What takes a couple minutes here can save hours of trying to clean it up later, or sometimes can't get it cleaned up. Paper towels or newspapers or anything to that effect. I think plastic's a little bit better because the epoxy won't soak through. But anything that you can tape to the frame in the places where you're going to be grabbing it. Okay, I'm going to call that good for that process. And so the next thing is to just waller out the size of the insert. You can't even see it. So do that with just this flap wheel sander, 80 grit. It's really the perfect size for creating the new shape. I just put it in a cordless drill. Having a second hand run a vacuum cleaner while you're doing this wouldn't be a bad thing. It creates a fair amount of dust. Obviously it's bigger, but if you just force it in as you turn, So the old shell was 41 millimeters and the new one's about 46. So we've got to take quite a bit of carbon off. It'll take a little bit. Can see inside here that there's a little bit of wood showing. Not sure if I'm already sanded through the old ring on this. I don't think so. You should be left with a millimeter or two of carbon still on your frame. Maybe waller it a little bit to speed up the process. Right now we're at 43 and a half, and this is 46, so we still got a millimeter and a half of radial dimension to sand off. The check is whether or not it fits. It's pretty close, but a little bit to go. There's, of course, the cable sleeves inside. Shouldn't be capable of doing any damage to those. But just be aware that they're there. Don't sand all the way through those sleeve liners. That's getting close. We want just a nice, easy, don't have to force it in, not a press fit, but nice transition fit. A little bit of clearance would be better than having to force it. It's almost there. these wear down in diameter a little bit. I'll include a couple of them so you can get out to that final. I'm going to go ahead and catch up on the other side. Clean up some dust. The adhesive will act as a lubricant to help it fit together a little bit. So I think I'd like to be able to slide it all the way in though before putting any glue on it. Other side's got a mile to go. I'm going to change cutters. So yeah, the new one, the old one's lost a millimeter or two diameter. It might help make it go a little faster. Ooh, that's maybe a little bit too big on that side, just slightly. Where the other side's not there yet. close. Okay, so both sides are big enough. I'm going to get a little bit of fabric. Move the camera over here to the mixing station. So again, there's the epoxy. I'll send this mixing gun. There's a big plunger, small plunger, big plunger, small plunger. Just slides in the slot. This goes in to snap it in. Have to pull out the cap and then replace it with a mixing nozzle. Piece of cardboard to mix it on, and that goes through the nozzle and mixes it in while you're squeezing, so that's all it takes. Don't have to do any additional. Gonna find some acetone. So I assume you have something like denatured alcohol or acetone. Those two are really good. They don't leave a residue and they dry real quickly, where paint thinner does the other things. It sort of leaves a residue and takes a long time to cure, to dry. Cleaning the dust off of it at this juncture. over here at the mixing station. We'll take the sleeve. Q-tip might be a good application tool. We'll see how that goes. And just wrap coating each side. Don't need to coat the middle, but each end. Didn't talk about what I did to prep the frame to get ready to this point. Just double check that the frame shell width is not more than 92 millimeters. The shell is 92. And if it's more than 92, need to somehow grind it down, face it down, so that it's less than 92. It should be 92 now, but I've had trouble measuring that apparently because I've gotten quite a few of them too big. Okay, I'm going to take this, I'll send a few wraps of this carbon toe, and for the side that I overdid it, I'm just going to wrap around a couple of times. And then cut that. And take a little bit more adhesive and wrap it, coat that fabric. Try to make sure that it's stuck down so it doesn't get pinched when we slide this in. Should probably put some tape around the inside of this and on the face, but we can clean that up with acetone or alcohol after we get it in. I'm going to move the camera again. I'm going to slide it in from the small side to the big side. No, I want to go from the big side to the small side. Before doing that, take just a little bit of adhesive and wrap it around. Coat the shell, the bite part of the shell, as well as the shell that we're gluing in. I'm going to change my gloves so that I don't have adhesive on my fingertips. It's a pain to get new gloves on over sweaty hands, so I just rub my hands in sawdust. Baby powder would work. I don't know if your kids are that small that you still have baby powder around. Go. So small side in first to the big side that's been wrapped. That side should just go in nicely. It should. Why is it? There it goes. And then the wrapped part will just fill. Hammer and a block of wood to tap it in. And then it should be centered in the bike frame. Say got a little bit to go, so you can see that shell is sticking out by 2 millimeters. I need to get it all the way in. I'm gonna use a clamp. Another hand. That doesn't really do it. Okay, so pretty flush on this side. I've got a little bit of the fabric poking out. I can feel the other side is nice and flush. Take a toothpick. Can use that to squeeze in a little bit of the epoxy into the, if there's any additional hole, but also try to force the fabric in if there's a space for it. Dope. Got a razor blade to trim off additional fabric, that little bit that's sticking out. Don't want to damage the shell. It's been faced nice and perpendicular, square, so we don't want to do any damage to that, and we don't want any fabric sticking out that would cause the shell to not, or the bottom bracket bearing to not sit flush. Might have to do a little bit of sanding after this is cured. I'm gonna say definitely have to. Sure to clean out the inside so there's no epoxy goobers that keep the bearing from going in. It's easier because it doesn't have any fabric. This is where having a nice clean tape line around it would help, so that when you untape it, it leaves a nice clean edge. Try not to be easy to unwrap that fabric if you pulled on it. It would be better to leave it out and let it cure and then sand it off after it's cured. Got a little bit of fuzz here, but I'm just going to leave it alone. And so that's about it. And so the next thing would be to just press the bearing in. Be sure you do get the left side correct. I think the left side is the smaller side. Or is the right side the smaller side? I don't remember. For the praxis. I think this says on the label. Several hours. 20-minute work life. I guess 3 hours to cure. As soon as it's dry to the touch, nice and stiff, you'd be ready to push the other bearing in, but I wouldn't ride it for maybe overnight. Okie doke. I'll send you this gun and this glue. I would like to get that back, but not the end of the world. And I'll send you plastic and tape, some carbon fiber fabric, of course the shell itself. You already have one bearing. I think I have another one here. I might send it along just so you have a backup. And I think that's it. If I think of anything else, I'll include it in the box. And it should be hopefully fairly simple. And still not convinced this is actually where the noise is coming from. I wonder if it's the crank itself. Not that many things it can be. Okay, I'm going to cut it off. See you, Ozzy.